Hey guys, welcome to the second episode of the talk show where we discuss technology, the tech view by Tech Milestone. So, in the second episode, we thought to discuss something really interesting and which is something very new and a hot topic. So, recently, Pubg has announced that it is coming back in India, so we're gonna have that covered, as well as we saw the launch of the Apple's M1 chipsets that's made in-house production for the Macs. So we're gonna discuss all about those in this episode and some minor tech news as well. So let's just begin with the Apple's M1 launch. So Apple had a launch event that we discussed in the last episode as well. So Apple said that they are going to launch one more thing on the November 10th, and yes, they have it. They have launched the brand new category of CPUs that they promised in WWDC. They said that they are gonna get that all done by the end of this year, and they have fulfilled their promise, and it's almost the end. Talking about the M1 chipset, it was highly suspected that yes, Apple will bring, because Apple was not much expecting from Intel, and also producing the chipsets in their own production facility makes them have much more of resources and techniques to develop software so that it is much better to run. If we talk about the size of the chipset, it is just 5 nanometer that what, and includes 16 billion transistors, which is very good on the part of Apple, because having so much of transistors is very difficult to have. And the Apple's approach of going just 5 nanometers is much better for the power saving and also for the future of what we can see for the CPUs. If we talk about the desktop CPUs, we have seen 7 nanometer process in the Zen 3 of AMD Ryzen 5000. I don't know why, but I always take that into account because they have now set a new industrial standards, and now if you want to compare a CPU, you obviously have them in your list. So if we talk about the cores and other features that it is going to bring, it has got 8 cores CPU. On the left side, if you see some diagram that's available on the Apple website as well, so it has got 8 cores, 4 of which are very high performing, so and 4 are power efficient. So in an idle state, when you're just browsing the internet and other stuff, it will use the efficiency cores, and when you are in a high productive mood, like I am now doing this podcast, you will switch to the high performance cores. Also, the chipset doesn't only include the CPU there, it also includes 8 cores for the GPU. They have brought and says that they have the highest ever GPU core performance, and also the RAM is now embedded directly to the CPU. So it's a sad news for those who really buy a lower variant and later on upgrade it. So if you want later upgrade, you will have to buy a brand new MacBook or the Mac device that you are gonna upgrade. You can't upgrade the RAM because it's directly embedded to the CPU. Undoubtedly, it will be more useful in the task because there will be reduced latency that the CPU will have to send over to the RAM and then get back the data. So it is gonna improve the performance for sure. Also, it includes 16 cores that are just logical cores, which are gonna help great in the AI field. Also, as per the website of Apple, it states that the M1 is gonna boost a core of 3.5 more power. Like it's just 350 times the power that they were getting earlier with the older CPUs, which directly hints that it was Intel, and they are performing much better as per this show. Also, for the TDP, it says that for the 10 watt power that the CPU consumes, It is the best ever in the industry standards and is the highest ever scores and the fastest CPU that you can see at such a low power per watt. Also, it says that it has got the fastest GPU, so like editing and all stuff might be fun. That too, they say that they have 2x than the previous GPU performance that they have. So like next generation of machine learning is now here because they have got 11 trillion operations per second can be done with the 16 core of their neutral engine that they put directly into the single M1 processor. So the processor not just be a single thing, it is more of a CPU plus GPU plus RAM plus logical cores, or say the neutral engine, and more of the transistors that help it transact between them. So that's the complete package that you get in the M1. So it is just the first one, and we can expect more of in the future. The M2 would be much better. It was just the first ever CPUs that Apple made. Apple also claims that for the battery life, it can go very long, starting off like 17 hours on a wireless web browsing and 20 hours on movie playback on the new MacBook Pro 13-inch. And for the MacBook Air, it says 15 hours for the wireless web and 18 hours for the movie playback. And for the Mac Mini, there's no battery, you need to get that plugged in, so that's not a concern here. But the power usage will really be very less for this. They also made the new OS, the Big Sur, and that's rolling out, and that's much faster. That they say that they've optimized that all apps can work with the M1. So now you can get connected via like iPad and all your Mac devices and your iPhone. So it is kind of a more of a into a single system, and also they have put in advanced security options as well on the CPU and locking the CPU so that you are free and your privacy is really a matter for Apple. So with M1, they're also introducing universal apps that they're gonna use. That's gonna bring much more of like the apps will be available across all the Apple devices, and it would be much better for you to do all the things in the single time. Well, if we talk about the models that it launched 3 models as I earlier said. The MacBook Air, and they gave it a name M1 2020, MacBook Pro 13-inch, the same name M1 2020, and Mac Mini M1 2020. So the interesting fact comes here that both the MacBook Air and MacBook Pro got a screen that's 13.3 inches, and the Mac Mini is just a PC that's very compact and small, and so you need to put in your own screen for that. And for all other specs, it is almost same, like all have got the Apple M1 chipsets that has unified memory, CPU cores, that's a single process, so that's not much different that I would say. It is all the way same. The only difference that you see between the MacBook Air and MacBook Pro, except for Mac Mini, is that there's a brightness difference, that on MacBook Pro you get a more brighter screen option, and other is the weight is little bit different. It's 1.29 kg for the MacBook Air and 1.4 kg for the MacBook Pro. Both have got the 720p FaceTime camera, and which Apple claims that they have put in much more technology so that it's much more clear than even and be at par with the 1080p cameras. Rest we see everything is same. There's nothing different, but the only thing that MacBook Pro has is it has a touch bar. The MacBook Air has a Touch ID sensor, and Mac Mini doesn't have any of these. Rest everything is same, like they have the same audio calling feature, the Apple Pay is available, the Siri is same on all the devices. The battery is 49.9 watt hour lithium in the MacBook Air, and 58.2 that's earlier discussed about. You can see the difference in the battery life that they are getting. And also on the MacBook Pro you also get a USB-C power port, else you get a 30 watt in the MacBook Air and 61 watt in the MacBook Pro. Rest everything is same. The Mac Mini is way downgrade for all, but if you're going with the speed, then it's all the same. If you can go and buy a extra desktop, like a entire screen that it supports, and also about the keyboard and mouse, and you love the PC thing or a desktop, I would say you should go with the Mac Mini, because everything is same, nothing much different. If you talk about the unified memory, you can go at a 8 gigs or 16 gigs variant for across all the three models, so that's nothing that I would say is much more different. But the main difference is the price. So the Mac Mini's price is $699, that roughly around 64,000 for India. The price for the MacBook Air is $999, that's roughly 1 lakh. And for the MacBook Pro, it's 1299, which is around 1,20,000. So now if I talk like what is the actual difference for the price, that's the only thing I don't like about Apple that they give, is that you don't get any of the upgrades that you want. Like for the more you pay, you don't get a much value for money. So imagine if you have like a smaller Mac Mini and you can get a more of a screen that you can use, and you have a keyboard and mouse, you are good to go, because every other perspective, like the processor is same, the GPU is all embedded, and everything is same rest. So why pay around $300 for a MacBook Air? Well, laptops are a trend, and you might need to say that I want to go with the laptop. Then MacBook Air is a kind of thing that you would prefer. But when it's MacBook Air, why go for the Pro 13-inch? Please note I am really saying Pro 13-inch because 16-inch is not launched, and the earlier versions available are with Intel and they are much more powerful. But we are still expected to see what these devices have, because the performance charts are not yet available, because the sale starts on the November 17th for all the three devices across the world. So if you're interested, you can buy now on the Apple website or contact some Apple retailers that are out there. But what I think is that Apple should not make such a price difference when you're giving everything same. Just there are two differences between MacBook Air and MacBook Pro 13-inch. The difference only includes a touch bar, a bigger battery, and a much brighter display. That's it. For three things, why should I pay $300 more? Well, that's something Apple should really look forward to, and I believe Apple might release something really exciting in the future, just like something that they did when they brought the MacBook Air. If we see about the PUBG thing was very popular. Like first they said that they're going to shut down their operations, and then they shut down their servers. Then the South Korean brand, the Krafton, came up and said we have a deal with the Microsoft Azure and we will most probably come back in India. And now it's official. The PUBG Mobile has revealed their PUBG Mobile India plans. Here I made a thing. PUBG Mobile India. Yes, the PUBG Mobile for India is gonna have a very separate app. It's gonna be the PUBG Mobile India, and for the basic features that they are gonna change, number one, they're gonna host all their services with Microsoft Azure. That's gonna be all placed within the local boundaries of India, because Microsoft really have big servers in India and that are operational for really long. So PUBG is finally coming back in India. Also, they have now put on more of a data safety perspective, and to have a healthy gameplay environment, they're now gonna be looking at the traditions of India and making it like a feature that all the players will have some clothes by default. There will be no part exposed of the bodies of the players. The vehicles would be much more customized for India. The clothing will more be customized for India. So like it is going to be a complete India only game. Also for the blood, they're gonna change that color to green, which they did earlier in the China version. Like in China, it got banned for showcasing blood, and later on, after consultation, they changed that to green, which was earlier an option in PUBG Mobile as well, that you can change the color from red to green. But now in the Indian version, it's gonna be completely green. The PUBG Mobile is putting a bad impact. For that, they said that they're gonna put some limits on the gameplays, like you won't be able to play the game after few hours, and that was some feature, if I remember, put on earlier as well, but it didn't came up successful because the revenues of the PUBG really dropped, and later they removed the feature. And for the more announcement and details, PUBG has said that they're gonna be come back with the release and the launch date very soon in the future, and it's gonna be back very soon. That's what they say. If I talk about the PUBG thing, well, that's all that PUBG is going to look forward to. For my perspective, PUBG will come back and would not be much different, because when PUBG gave out, Free Fire came in, Free Fire, and people switched to Free Fire to have their time spent, or other games like the COD Mobile was there, and now even the suspected Pubg, which I don't know when it's gonna release. They are like just pushing away the date to like on Dussehra they released the trailer, the teaser, and most probably on Diwali, that's tomorrow, they might launch with the brand new game, but there's no official confirmation by the Encore team. And PUBG still has a very good market. The creators of PUBG are really wanting PUBG to come back, because they tried many new games, but the watching and all the stuff that they had is still with like PUBG fans only. And also PUBG has promised that it would be recruiting 100 people in India who will be coming up and helping them managing the business. That's gonna be a very plus point for PUBG in India. So now we have to see like what PUBG has it for all of us, because what PUBG has stated in a press release is much more of what the brand believes, but what actual implementation comes is still not known. But yes, the news is official that PUBG is coming back in India very soon. So now let's just talk more about question was being asked to me very time, like what product to choose when you have an option between two. So now this is a completely different topic, I would say. Like whenever I used to go somewhere, people would ask me what to buy between these two products, or send me links via message that these are the two products we are looking forward to. We want to choose one from them, like either choosing a smartphone, a TV, a laptop, a desktop, and much more features. So to choose from two things, you need to first, I would say, look back at some of the reviews that they're out there. Like if I talk about the reviews, you need to go with someone who is somewhere around more concerned about quality rather than selling out their media. These days reviews are also sold out, so what I would say is reviews checking should be done by going to the website from where you can purchase. For like example, the biggest platforms like the Amazon and Flipkart in India, you can go there, check out reviews. Reviews are really helpful when it comes, but don't forget to sort. Use sort, go with most recent ones and verified purchases, because there are many times that people just being a fanboy or like being asked by some community head, go on, increase the rating of the products because they want that to be on the best selling list, and brands really do that in India. So the second thing that comes into your mind is the budget as well. So how much do you want to spend is one of the major things that you need to consider. So because you will see that the ratings of almost all the brands having the smartphones are similar. Now that comes, and now next comes is your particular use case, that I would say. So use case depends on how you use a product. Do you use it as your daily driver? What you do? Do you just surf the internet using the laptop or the stuff? You just take some online classes, or you do some heavy tasks like video editing, playing games. So there are different options for every different thing. So I would say that's all based on your use scenario, your budget, and your willingness to buy for a product. Like I have seen people that they don't like a particular brand and they just say, I want go with the best because I don't like the brand, or the brand is something I have a bad experience with. So what I believe is much better is that you should first decide upon, narrow it down to more and more of less perspective. So when someone gives you a perspective, you search on the internet, you get 20 options. Then put a price filter, what is my maximum budget I can go, and what would the something minimum that would give me some features. After you have done that, you now will be left with around 7 to 8 options. Then put in what your use case is. If you want to go something with much more of a gaming, go with high performance that has a higher GPU count, or I would say graphic processing. And then followed by that, go with the core count and RAM as well. So if I am a video editor, I will go with something that has more cores and a graphic processor for sure. So that gives me much more option in everything and reduces my number. So at the end, we are just always down to two to three of the things that we have. Then on 2 to 3, then we check the reviews as well. Then comes the reviews thing. So on the reviews also, if you put a sort feature, you can go with the most recent, because there are updates that are being pushed, and after that some issues happen. If I remember, there was a smartphone that launched, and after just few days, like when it was launched, a week from that, update was pushed that broke down the camera of the smartphone. The camera was no longer that good that it was earlier. So with that, people were like, we bought a better camera, now it's not good, the other brand is better. That was just because a software upgrade came up and that changed everything. So when you buy, go with the most recent reviews. And when you see all the reviews that they are there, go with the verified purchases only, because as I earlier said, brands do false marketing. They pay people. Also, they ask people to rate the products without buying. The websites sometimes allow few of the users, like they just order a product, rate them and cancel their orders. Create account, order a product, give a review and cancel the order. That's the flow that some brands really do. And I have myself experienced this thing. I won't say the names as of now, but there was and there are still being done. So that is something that will narrow down you to two, or like give you the answer that what you should buy. So even if you are stuck with the two, go with what best suits your designing. The design you love, the colors you love that are being there or not, and also the after sale services that are being offered. For example, if I get a 5-year warranty, I will buy that product rather than the one that gives me 1 year or 1.5 years of warranty. Because warranty is something that comes very handy, like the Apple Care, because they just replace the phone when it's broken, and that's something really good that I expect from them. So over and all, it is your choice at the end, and you have to make the decision. So guys, that was all we had for this week's episode number 2. So we're gonna be back with episode number 3 on the next Friday 7 p.m. and it's gonna premiere on YouTube and all major streaming platforms. So make sure you have subscribed and followed the show on your favorite streaming platform, because we are now available on almost all the major streaming platforms. So see you guys next Friday 7 p.m. on your very show, The Tech View. Talk show and tech are combination.